Hi, friend. Niklas here from Your Audio Solutions. Hope you are doing well and welcome to today's show. On the show today, we have the guitarist Manny Zennelli from the progressive rock band Closure in Moscow. And if you haven't heard Closure in Moscow and you're into kick ass riffs, progressive rock, and just awesome songs, go check them out right now. I'll leave a link to their Spotify in the description below. It was awesome talking to Manny, and I actually discovered Closure in Moscow maybe 9, 10 years ago. And when they released their album Pink Lemonade, I was definitely hooked. And that was actually back in 2014, and they haven't released anything since. But as you will hear in the interview, there's some up and coming music coming out. So if you're a fan, stay tuned. There will be more stuff coming your way. I also saw them playing here in London at the Garage in Islington. And that was a tour that I think they will not forget anytime soon because after the gig at the Garage, they got robbed of their passport. And then a few days later, they played in Paris at the night of the terrorist attack that happened at the Bataclan in Paris. And they just played a venue pretty close to that venue the same night. And you will hear Manny talk all about it in the interview. But yeah, that was a shocking night. And if you've seen the documentary, it was on Netflix last year it came out or something. But if you haven't seen that documentary, check it out. It was a terrible night, obviously, and you hear Manny talk all about it in the interview. It was a pleasure having Manny on the show since I loved the music for so long. And despite the lag, obviously due to distance, he's in Melbourne, I'm in London. There was quite some lag in the interview, but despite that, I think you're going to love the interview anyway. Just see past the lag and I think you're going to enjoy it. Now, if you want to be a part of the conversation and be able to ask questions, for example, to people like Manny and be able to attend live streams that will come in the future, all you have to do is join the audio tribe. There's a link to that in the description below. All you have to do is enter your email address and name, and you have joined the audio tribe. I'd love to see you there. And also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel or Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you are consuming the show. Just hit the subscribe button and you have subscribed. Also, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the interview or who you'd like to see coming on to the show next. Leave a comment and let me know. But that's it. Let's get into the interview with Manny Zennelli. But Manny, it was a big pleasure having you on. I mean, I've been listening to your guys' music forever. It feels like, and I absolutely love it, like many people do. So it's a pleasure to have you here and geek out about your stuff and guitar playing because you guys are smashing it.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's good fun. It's good fun.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here for sure.
I mean, because I actually just love to start out talking to you about Pink Lemonade, which is an awesome record. And I'd love to know, we can talk about it later if you have a new record coming out or not, but something I've always been wondering is how you guys got such a big guitar tone, even though it sounds fairly clean to me, like on a song like the Brahmatron song.
Right.
You know, it sounds...
Right.
I've been thinking about that since I've heard that song. It's like, how the hell do you guys accomplish that tone?
It's funny you say that, man, because I made a choice. My first album was in drop C. So C, G, C, F, A, D. Right? And we'd made a choice to go to standard for Pink Lemonade. And now that's a very big jump. And and it's just a nightmare for guitar changes and whatnot. But we decided to do that just because we wanted a more, just a cleaner sound up top. What we found in the studio was to get like a massive sound with our clean tones, a lot of that album is using my Rickenbacker. I have a Rickenbacker 620 from 1986. And it's a super clean tone, but what we did was we layered it. We layered it so many times. So we found that it's kind of like compounding the tone. So you layer initial tracks. So that album is predominantly done live. So we did a lot of those takes live. And then especially for Brahmatron is a song where we actually lay it over the top of it.
Right.
So that song's got, man, I think we still hold the record for the most tracks used in a session for at the studio that we were at. I think we had like 375 tracks or something on for the album. It was insane, man. But yeah, basically layering. So I think so many guitarists and they think gain is it gives them a big sound, and it couldn't be farther from the truth, man. Like gain muddies your tone. What I mean, just take AC/DC for instance. We'll go some Aussie rock. We'll go some of that, right? They've got like if you've seen AC/DC live, you are just blown away by this massive tone,
right?
And if you actually like sort of break down and listen to even if you like solo Malcolm Young's guitar tracks, they're not that gainy. There's not a lot of gain on them, but they're driving the amp and the volume. So there's minimal gain, high volume. So that we use essentially that exact same thing for Brahmatron.
Right.
We went minimal gain, high volume, drove the amp in terms of volume, and then just compounded it. So especially in the chorus where you hear that, and in the bridge and the outro, that's Barrett and myself just going ham, essentially. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
It was fun, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you're in the studio because you don't think it's going to be a big sound because you sort of have this. Okay, we'll trust each other. I'll trust you. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh shit, this is starting to take shape, So it's that's the trick. That's the secret to sauce.
Awesome, man. I mean, it sounds pretty cool. I mean, do you know how many times you double it? Because I guess at some point the doubling is pointless, right? I mean, you cannot do it forever.
Yeah. So no, you can't do it forever. No. So that. Oh man, I can't remember how many times. A lot, dude. We had a lot of tracks.
Right.
The guitar tracks looked like just like a sandwich. They were just like a sandwich.
Right.
4 to 6, I think.
Oh, okay.
So we would do kind of like a stereophonic thing. So we would go too hard left, too hard right, too center.
Yeah.
Then we'd layer another guitar on top, so Barrett's guitar. So we in that particular song we used My Rickenbacker 620 and which is this weird guitar that's cool looking, but started out like this really hollowy kind of semi-hollow body guitar, and then Barrett's just kind of Frankensteined it along the way and just put different pickups in, and it's become like his kind of like experiment to just his tone experiment, and it's easily the wackiest guitar I've ever played.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
Just we just sort of did the same thing on his end, and then it just had this big, powerful sound. So we just went with it. Yeah.
Awesome, man. But which speaker are you on mainly? Is it on the right or is it on the left? Like throughout the record?
Throughout the record, I think it changes, man. To be honest, I think we're not. We're pretty open with all the guitar stuff. We're not. Yeah, we're not really set in our ways. I mean, I can be left or right. I mean, playing live, I'm usually stage left. But on that particular record, we go back and forth. It just really depends because we did full pass-throughs of the songs live.
Right.
And then the majority of those guitar takes were taken from the live take because there's something about playing live with singers in the room too. Like there's something about that energy. Like you sort of can't recreate it by isolating each individual track. Even though for an engineer that's much better to deal with because you've got bleed coming in. And, like having a band play old school style it can be a nightmare.
But that's also
I feel like you lose something.
Yeah. But that's also what's so cool with Pink Lemonade is the shift from, First Temple to that record. It sounds more, vintage, I guess, for lack of a better word. But that's probably because you guys played live. It's also the sound of the record. Like the tone of the drums is also a big change from First Temple. I mean, was that a direction you wanted to go, or that you just tried it and that's what happened?
Yeah, we did a lot better than we young kids playing music and touring, and it was ridiculous. And we're always trying to push ourselves, and we don't want to write the same album again. Even though, if you're thinking about it on a business sense, it makes a lot of sense to just write an album that's very similar to cater for that niche and that market. But we kind of didn't want to do that. And we're always trying to just push ourselves and try. We never want to be lumped into a genre. Because everyone in the band has incredibly wide, eclectic taste in music. Like at any given time, we could be going anywhere from like classical to heavy death metal to video game music to anything. So I think the driving idea for Pink Lemonade was we had an overarching story that we wanted to portray. We wanted to have essentially a concept album, if you will.
Right.
And we just felt that need different. And the only way we could accomplish having a story, an overarching storyline that's cohesive, because if you play the album from start to finish, it actually loops. So we wanted it to be a continuous loop, and we have that in the storylines where the protagonist goes on a journey. So the only way we could accomplish that is by having different sounds in different songs. So it kind of just became that by choosing standard tuning, by having the story, and then having the songs sort of fall where they were. It kind of organically just felt, it wasn't like we went, oh, we want different drums here, we want different drums there. We kind of just tuned the drums for each individual song and played each individual instrument for the song in the story. So we kind of wrote for the story.
Right.
Yeah, and it just became this monster. And I think we bit off a bit more than we could chew, to be honest. Like, I think a theory is always cool in your mind, but then when you go to put it into practice, it's like, oh shit, this is going to be difficult. How are we going to do that? And how are we going to go from here to there? Because this is a blues rocky song, and now you're going to an electronic chip tune song. Like, shit, like how are we going to do that? Right. How's that going to be cohesive? Like, oh. But
how did you do
I think it was just organic, man.
Right. I mean, because the riffs, I mean, they're pretty badass riffs, but it never takes away from the, it never sounds cheesy. It's not like, oh, this is just a prog rock band, that never comes across. It always sounds, it sounds cool, but it sounds in a musical way, I guess. Like you can tell it's more of a songwriting record, So, I mean, how did you piece all of it together to make it that? Was it because you had the story first then, so you never actually, went away from the mission, so to speak, if that makes sense?
Yeah, essentially. We, I mean, came in one day and I've got an idea. And that was the genesis of the album. It was like, all right, we're sitting around, we're in the studio, we're in our rehearsal space. And he told us this story, and it just started getting just out of control, grandiose. And we loved it. We think it's really great. It's the story of a guy that's seeking enlightenment. He's chasing this alchemist who can give him this elixir, this magical drink, this pink lemonade that can solve all of his woes and all of his worries and make everything a better place. And it's kind of a metaphor for people that are always chasing the next best thing. And, the enlightenment, they're chasing this, they're trying to do this. And eventually he goes through this massive journey, ends up finding the alchemist, drinking the drink, finding out that it wasn't what it was,
right.
Ending up going on this psychedelic kind of weird trip, ends up dying, and then comes to in a desert where he realizes eventually that you don't need this drink. After all, happiness is within inside yourself, and to enjoy life, and don't let happy days pass you by. Essentially, is one of the last songs on here.
Yeah, that's a great song, man.
Yeah, it is, yes. But it's like we started with the story, so it helped a lot to have a kind of a story to guide you and go, all right, cool. Well, where is our protagonist now in the story? Oh, he's met this guy in this church, and he's handing out computer chips to people, kind of like to people, and it organically came together. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of work in it for sure. I think a lot more than we ever really let on. Like a lot of work, man, to get an album. I mean, we've got the average song length on the entire album is kind of like 6.5 minutes, 7 minutes, like the average song length.
Yeah.
So it was organic, but we definitely had a plan, a kind of like a center, and we could deviate from that center, but there was always something to bring us back. Like, all right, cool. Right. Why is the guy in the desert now? How did he get to the desert? What is the sound of the desert? Oh, and that was the song Beck and Fire on the album, which our Michael Barrett, our guitarist in our band, sang. He's a singer.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Yeah. But so there's no holds barred, man. We have no rules. Anything goes,
Nice.
And that's what I think what makes music fun. When you kind of, not to sound cliche, but when you lump yourself in a box, I think it takes away from just the the possibilities. Like, your mind is infinite. So why lump yourself into saying you're this genre, you're that? What if you want to? If we want to put a rap hip hop song on our next album, we'll do it. Whether it's good or not is another story. But yeah, to having an ideal or an idea to sort of shoot off with, a loose one essentially, was very helpful.
I actually want to, like, how, like, is when you guys write the music, is it that someone comes in? I mean, obviously you had the story, you said that, but in terms of riffs, the musical part, do you all just jam, or is it you come in with a riff, let's try that, someone else has another riff, or what's the how do you guys do
it? Changes a lot, man, to be honest. It definitely changed between First Temple, our first album, to Pink Lemonade. I mean, First Temple was predominantly Barrett and our previous bass player came together with the nigh 70 to 80% complete tracks, and then we would work the vocals and double parts and change this and that, and then we would have the album. But with Pink Lemonade, it was more of a collective. So we've kind of just stayed with that for this next one that we're writing currently, in the midst of lockdown, but which is proving a little difficult. But yeah, it's our drummer contributes, our bass player contributes, our singer contributes. Like, someone will have a vocal line that they play really poorly on a guitar or something, and then give, what is this dish? Do we like this? No, we don't. Okay, maybe let's remove this, remove that. Oh, do we like that? Yes, we do. Let's go with that. Cool. And then we'll take that and explore that. Jamming, for sure. Individuals. It's kind of, like I said, no rules, man.
So, I mean, you guys, Closure Moscow, you always been a band I myself have looked up to being in a band, and then other bands have looked up to you the same way, as in a band which is in a place where you want to be. You had a record deal, you were touring, making killer music. But how does it actually look behind the scenes being a band at your level? Like, what's the sacrifices you have to make the whole machine, for lack of a better word, work? How does it look?
Yeah, man, it's funny you said machine. Hey, it's because I literally call it the machine. And even to be considered even to be considered by someone as like great guitarists or great musicians or a great band is just blows my mind, man. Like in my reality tunnel, like, we're just five friends in Melbourne, Australia, that love playing music, and then all of a sudden we have interest from international labels that want to sign us after, and then next thing you know, we're in America and we're touring, and then we're in Europe, and then we're in Asia, and then we're back again, and we're part of the machine. And all of a sudden you're in this washing machine going like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I think we ever the and purest form, I guess, of expression. Like, we love playing shows with people because the crowd gives you energy, you give them energy, and you're dripping and hot and sweaty, and you just feel it. And for that 1 hour or hour and a half of the show, you really connect with people. So, but before we got to that, it's a lot of sacrifices, man. And it's interesting you've sort of asked that. You've asked me that because I had a chat. My best friend stays our old drummer, Bo McKee, and we were just chatting just the other day just about because he's a record producer in Melbourne, and he's kicking absolute goals, man. He's working with some amazing bands, and they were having a question about just like the sacrifices that they have to make, and we were discussing the same thing. So, and it's a lot of sacrifice, man. It's a lot of family get-togethers missed. A lot of girlfriend and partners get-togethers missed. There's a lot of time in the studio. There's a lot of writing. There's a lot of like honing your craft, affecting your craft. Can you play it live? Can you play it clean live? If someone was to record your set, would you be happy with the recording, or would you be like, oh, does that information, if the sound guy says we want to record your set in a live event, does that change your perspective? Does that change you go, oh, if so, fix it. So there's a lot of input. It wasn't just we wrote this album and it went absolutely gangbusters. There's a lot of work behind the scenes. And before we got recorded by labels, there was a lot of burning out CD onto a blank disc with the Sharpie on the marker and mailing it out to all these different labels everywhere and trying to get it on the radio and going to shows and networking and all this sort of stuff. So there's that too. So when you talk the machine, I feel like there's this one gargantuan machine that is record labels and major labels, and that's a whole palaver of else. But before you can get to that, there's small things you have to do in order to get there, and like on the local level. So I think we're very fortunate that we really connected on a local level, and in turn, this was through the MySpace days. So we did really well through MySpace, and all of a sudden you've got this platform to connect to people, and we would, like, Bo and I would type to people and chat to people and like, hey man, like, you like music too? What kind of bands are you into? What are you listening to? And these people would then come out to shows, they'd bring their friends, and all of a sudden they're buying T-shirts, they're buying other things. So we had this kind of local following that made it very easy for international labels to come out and to our EP launch, to see it live, see the connection, see the energy in the room, and go, oh wow, and present us with offers. Now, in hindsight, I wouldn't take the deal, right, to be honest. I really don't think in this day and age you need a record label per se. Sure. Like I think back then you kind of did. I think we were the last generation of bands that really sort of needed a label to sort of push them. You definitely don't need that these days. I mean, you've got SoundCloud, you've got Bandcamp, you've got you've got a plethora of social media that you can exploit without a label.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I say that to artists all the time, and I say, stay independent. Stay independent. Don't sell your merch. Don't sell your rights. Don't sell your publishing. And if you're going to sell your publishing or your licensing tour, make sure you get rock solid money, because that's the other side of the business. Because we sort of left the local scene and we came into like bigger labels and major label scenes, and now you're sitting on tables with A&R guys and people from the label and all. Oh, here we go, Ryan Wally, the guy from Tom Wally's from you, and now they're telling you how to change your music because they want you to write your first album again, make First Temple 2.
Right.
Whoa, like, you know what I mean? Because money's involved now, and people are kind of like, and it just dilutes the artistry of it. So there's that too, but that's the other machine.
Yeah.
But
it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, it was a lot of hard work, right?
Yeah, I mean, because I've asked this question to producers who do work with major labels and who are very pro label. I asked them the same question, like, is it actually worth having a record label these days? And I mean, I totally agree with what you said, because if a record label wants you these days, you can probably make it yourself anyway, So yeah, it's interesting hearing your point of view in that, because, I mean, what's the benefit of being independent? I mean, and also maybe what's the benefit of having a deal in your point of view? Like, what can they do that you cannot do yourself?
Oh, look, I mean, we'll talk major labels first, and say you're on a label, and essentially a music label is a bank. They're essentially a bank. They're like an artistic bank. Yeah. And they say to you, okay, we really like your music. Because you're amazing. You're a great artist. We want to sign you. We want to give you an advance. We want to give you X amount of money. So they're going to basically throw a whole bunch of money to you. So you're under the illusion that you've got all this cash to do what you will. So most bands, I mean, most artists are not business savvy. That's just we're not. A lot of people aren't. And you become business savvy after a while. So you get thrown the money, and then you are now in a situation where you can up your stage show, record a better album. The label can definitely open up doorways into better producers, better studios, things that money can get you in, and advertising influence. But it's all money. And money needs to be paid back. Nothing in this world is for free. Yeah. And the problem with major labels is that, I mean, since major labels have existed, they've it's a business. So their goal is to make money. and the commodity is an artist. It's not like they love you. They care about the money. They see, which is why it's the old adage of don't sign a major label deal, because major labels throw you to the wall, and if you stick, great, they go with you. But if you don't, you slide to the bottom and you become shelved, like they say. So in that regard, yeah, sure, it can be great if you sign a decent deal and everything's okay, because they can open doors for you and get you into great publishing deals and licensing. Now let's flip to being independent. I still think that's the way to go. When you're independent, you are your own commodity. You are the CEO of your own everything. You own your rights. You own your publishing. You own your mechanical royalties. You own everything. Now, when you own everything, that means you also recoup the profit from everything to a support and this and paying X amount of money and what it's all. Every single CD or every single download or song that you sell, you recoup 70 to 80%, if not more, depending on what the platform takes, whether it's iTunes or Tidal or Spotify, whatever kind of distribution you're on. So the percentage cut is a lot better for an independent artist. So now all of a sudden, if you have a decent following, well, you've got the money. So why do you need a label? The label comes in, they're a bank, they're offering you money, but you've got money.
Exactly.
So why do I need you? Right? And I've been in the room for that have been offered deals, and I've been in the room and in the studio in the control room, and an A&R comes in, and they're always like the hip kind of flashy dude, like, yeah, we can sign you, we'll get you. It's about like they always drop big band names. Yeah, man, we'll get you on tour with like Iron Maiden, like it's like outlandish shit. And for a young person, it's the carrot,
Yeah.
Check this out. But if you're an independent artist, you've got the money, so you don't need the bank. So you can buy good PR, you can buy advertising, you can pay for an amazing producer and a studio time. So it's kind. I definitely feel we'll see I don't think they'll see a lot of major labels sort of dissolve into this kind of new wave. The beginning was, man. Like as soon as that came in, that was a massive game changer for the industry, because now all of a sudden you've essentially taken away the power from all these labels, and they weren't throwing out the $1 million deals like it was candy anymore. Now the deals they were different, and there's a lot of stipulations on them, a lot of options. So I still stand by staying independent for sure. If you can, for sure.
Right. So are you guys independent since Pink Lemonade, or was that your first?
Yeah, so we're independent. Yes, it's Pink Lemonade. Yeah, that was the first. We signed a deal for First Temple, our first album, and that really taught us a lot, man. It really like it's kind of baptism by fire. Right. You kind of all of a sudden you're in this machine and stuff has to happen, and you're making money, but money's getting taken from you, and you're kind of like, oh, what's going on? And then when you finally have a chance to sort of stop, we had a bit of a pause of touring. We're like, all right, let's have a look at this, because this is what we do. We do music. No one else did anything else at that time. So we decided that we didn't get a very good deal for what we had. So, and we were touring like 200 days out of the year, man, if not more.
Right.
Like we were constantly on the road. Yeah, like always on the road. So that time is the most precious commodity we have. So you need to be compensated for that time. So, and we just decided we weren't. And then when we did a concept album, the label was losing their mind. They're like, no, you can't do that. We just want you to write First Temple 2. And we're like, well, we don't want to do that. We're not going to do that. We don't want to do that. Why would we want to do that? Well, what do you want to do? And we told them the story and how we were going to do it. And we could just see them melting, man. They're just like, oh. And that was the first time we were sort of sitting together in front of people that weren't musicians, that are bean counters, that are telling us how to write music. And you're like, what? What's going on right now? And I remember looking at Christopher, and I remember looking at Barrett next to me, and we kind of gave each other this look and just went like, is this happening? This is so cliche. Like label people telling us what we can and can't do. What?
Yeah.
Like, no, we can't do this. So then began the process of going independent. So we are completely independent. And man, it's been great. It's been great. We have a team around us. We have amazing booking agents in the US. We have amazing booking in Europe and Australia. We've got amazing management, and we're just completely independent. So we have our own label that we release our own records on, and it's
That's awesome.
It's great, man. Yeah, it's great.
But I mean, what were some of the pitfalls, that you can tell maybe other bands like to be wary of? Like, is there specific things that might sound awesome but it's not? If that makes sense.
Dude, a lot of things.
Right.
Bank. Like when you think bankers, you think like fat cats, like with like cigars and like top hats, and I'm a banker. And it's like, well, it's kind of that as well. It's just that they're not dressed in top hats and suits with cigars. They're dressed in like ripped jeans and like band t-shirts. But it's the same thing. So one of the pitfalls is a lot of bands sign a multi-option deal, meaning labels, they don't call albums. They call them options.
Right.
And they call it an option because it's their option whether they exercise to take you up on the next album.
Right.
So I see a lot of young bands that will sign like a 5-album deal or a 5-option deal, and they'll take a $50,000 advance. It's like, man, what are you doing? Like, and then the percentage split, like they're giving away their merchandise, giving away a percentage of their publishing. It's like, dude, what are you doing here? Like, what are you doing here? So I think the biggest pitfalls bands make it, they don't get proper help in terms of music lawyers to really help them out with a deal if they are presented with a deal, and a really can really help you navigate the swamp that is legalese. Like there's a lot of, if you're not savvy at reading deals or contracts, like it'd be suicide to sign a deal that you don't comprehend, basically.
Right.
So the biggest pitfall is giving away your publishing, giving away your merchandise or a percentage of it, and taking a multi-option deal, for sure.
Right. That's interesting, man. But when it comes to touring and stuff, because I saw you guys play here in London at the Garage. I don't know how many years ago.
Oh man, the Garage, dude.
Yeah,
that was. You know what happened that night? So
yeah.
We sold that show out, right? It was fantastic. It was such a great show. Yeah. So we played Islington in the Garage. Great show. And you were there, you said, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. We play a sellout show. Everyone's sweaty and singing back songs, and you're kind of like, man, these people know the tunes. Like, what's going on? And we felt the energy was really great. We met cool people afterwards and had a really great time. Went back to the bus, getting ready to load out and leave, and we got robbed. We found that someone jarred open the window in the tour bus.
Right.
Took all that stuff. They took our passports, man.
Wow.
They took our passports.
Yeah.
So I had no passport.
Shit.
Salvatore, our drummer, had no passport. Our singer Chris had no passport. Now we're playing Paris in 2 days. Oh man! Then we're going on to do the European leg of that without a passport.
Wow.
No bueno. So
no.
So we had to. It was a nightmare, man. So we got robbed, and we had to deal with the police, and it was just like nightmare. It was crazy to have such a high, and such a low. And then we got the passport sorted. Thanks to the Australian Embassy at the Strand.
Oh, nice.
And begging with them through the glass. Well, listen, we've got a whole European leg of this tour. We need passports. They're like, well, we can't get you passports in 24 hours. We're like, what can we do?
Yeah.
What can we do?
Yeah.
We need passports here.
Yeah.
what can I do here? But I will say that they were great. And we drove to Wales. We got to Wales, played the show, came back, picked up passports, went to Paris. And then, the Paris attacks happened.
Yeah, that was
horrible.
terrible, man.
So it was we're on the same street. We were playing,
wow.
we were playing a venue called La Gambetta, which is probably a kilometre away from the Bataclan.
Was it the same night?
It was same night.
Wow.
So our show actually got stopped by the promoter. Yeah, so mid show. So we got 4 songs in, I think, and then the promoter came, sort of on stage, and he was waving. But previous to that, our friend and guitar tech, who was also taking photos, he was on my side of the stage, and he was on his phone, and he's looking at his phone, and he's looking at me, and he looked really worried. I'm sitting there playing, and we've got the in-ears in, and I'm sort of looking at him like, yeah, you good? And he's like, looks at his phone, and he goes, like that to me, he's like doing all these weird things, and I'm like, yeah, cool, yeah.
Wow.
Like he's doing this, and I didn't know what this meant.
Yeah.
I didn't know what this meant, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what is it? Like, yeah, cool. Like you don't think that. And then the promoter came on stage, and he stopped us, and we ended up stopping, and he grabs the microphone and he says something in French, and then he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, very sorry, there have been attacks in Paris. The police here. Please, the show is over. Please be safe." And we're like, "Whoa, really? Like, is this?" And he goes, "Yes, we're very sorry. Like, we need to get people out." So we had to get everybody out.
Shit.
And it was a bit of pandemonium because, I mean, not everyone handles stress well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people were sort of looking around like, "Oh, is this real?" Other people were really freaking out. Other people and I looked out into the crowd and I could see all the phones, everyone pulling up their phones and heads down, and the murmur happening, and then it was like a mass exodus. I remember going out onto the street, and I looked to the left and nothing really happening. I looked to the right and there was people running towards our way. Yes, people came in and just firing into the crowd. It's tragic, horrible. It's really, really horrible. But it was like a punch sort of in the guts on that. It was like getting robbed in London and then being the Paris attacks, and
wow,
it's just like, man, it was a crazy time to be alive.
Yeah.
But that London show was great.
It was great.
It was fun. In terms of the show, it was fantastic.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean,
I can't wait to come back to London, man. I really like London.
Definitely. But did you see that documentary of the guys in Eagles of, what's it called? Death Metal? The band.
Eagles Death Metal, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you see a documentary about the attack?
Yeah. I saw something on YouTube. I think it might have been the documentary. I think, yeah.
It was on Netflix, maybe not in Australia.
You prepare for it. You can't prepare for it. You would never think in a million years that someone would come into a venue and open fire on the crowd. Like that's beyond it. I would never think that, man. So that would have been terrifying for sure.
Yeah.
So it's quite scary because I mean, as large as the industry is in the rock scene, big, because you kind of know, I mean, bands aside, there's people that are touring professionals. There are people that are tour managers, sound guys, lighting guys, riggers, merch people, you know, and it's a very tight-knit community, you know. So we actually had some friends that were supposed to go out on that tour, and unfortunately, I think one of their was shot, and I believe he died on the particular tour, and that wow. Could have potentially been one of our good friends. And it's just it really hit the rock community and like the music community like pretty hard because no one would have ever thought like that would have been possible. It was a really hard hit. It kind of it's you never think you're not safe going to a live music show.
Exactly.
I mean, I've been in like a Pantera mosh pit, man. Not for 1 second did I feel unsafe.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right,
like you fall over, people pick you back up.
Nice.
Like there's camaraderie. It's like you're here to witness a band, you're here to connect, you're here to play music, man. You're here to listen to music. It's like, okay, let's do this. So
yeah,
it was
yeah, it's crazy, man.
Was that 2015, 2016?
Something like that, yeah.
And it was a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what did you guys do after that attack? Did you guys cancel the rest of the tour? Was that what happened?
We played the rest of the tour up until Budapest in Hungary, and then we cut it short from there. Yeah, yeah. So our it was because the final shows I believe were supposed to be in Romania, in Odessa, and then it was supposed to move on east. I think we're supposed to go to Kiev. I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure, but we had to cut it short in Budapest. Yeah, it was a lot to take on. So so we decided to sort of cut it there. Cut it there, you know.
But how do you guys deal with being musicians? I don't want to stereotype people at all, but musicians like us, I mean, typically more susceptible to maybe feeling anxious, maybe depression, etc. Did you guys ever experience anything like that? Maybe after that attack, or just because you guys deal with all of the stuff being
for sure,
independent?
For sure. Look, we do, man. We do. It's mental these days that looking at music or acting or painting or sculpture or any kind of artistry. I think it wasn't really taught as much as it's come to light now. So it's something that everyone deals with. I mean, our singer has gone through all of that, and he deals with anxiety and stuff like that. That's just a part of his daily life. That's a normality for him. It's something that never really has affected me, but I've seen it manifest through him. So I to say that I understand it is probably false because I've never experienced. I don't think you can truly understand something that you've never experienced. But I've seen it. I've seen it manifest, and it's really it's something that you really need to take seriously. And when something like an anomaly like getting robbed and then seeing like a taxi in Paris happen where you're like there, and I mean that just heightens everything. So we've definitely experienced it for sure. I mean, I can't really speak for the other guys about that. I was kind of angry. I think my go-to was anger. I was just like, man, how did this happen? Like, who would do this? You know. So I guess everyone has coping mechanisms and how they deal with these things. But I guess it's how you deal with it, you live with it, and how people put methods into place to do that. Because there's a lot of artists and a lot of bands and a lot of musicians and people that we know within the entertainment industry that suffer, and a lot of them suffer in silence. And I think it was very. I know Chris sort of did a post on Facebook or did a post on one of our social media channels and sort of spoke about it. Kind of like the first day, it was just completely open and transparent. He just spoke how he felt and what was going on, and people from all over were coming through, man. And it was great to just to connect with people, because we love just chatting back to people and just connecting. It's like, you love music, we love music. It's like, yeah, we play music, but like, I'm human, I bleed red, like so do you. Like we're all the same. So so it was great to just connect with people, especially on that level. And I think that really helped all of us kind of understand how important it is to really highlight that with people. It shouldn't be something that's swept under the rug anymore. I think when you talk about something, you know, if you talk about the boogeyman, he doesn't seem that bad anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's a really powerful thing, in just with connecting with people.
Definitely, man. And I think I saw his post as well on maybe Facebook it was or something. And yeah, it's really good to talk about it. Definitely, you know, because so many people who experience it, myself included. So it is important to talk about. But I love to talk a bit about, you know, what's coming up for you guys. Are you guys working on any new material, any new album in the works? I think I've seen clips on Instagram.
Yeah, we are, man. We are. We took a little bit of time off. Some of the guys got married. You know, a drummer had a child, a kid, and so we kind of like went into, I guess, like normal life for a little while. And you know, I thought, well, I'll get into other things here, and then we'll just sort of branch our wings out a little bit. So, I mean, that took a year or two kind of out of our schedule, because we were just touring just non-stop, man. So you kind of live in a bubble when you're touring. So we are back writing a third album now.
Cool.
We've got a lot of material. A lot.
Nice.
Like a lot. Like multiple albums worth of material.
Right.
So we're always doing that. So we did some pre-production, I think, the other day. That's probably what you saw. We might release like 1 or 2 songs soon.
Okay,
we're kind of toying with the idea of like, do we want to release an album, or do we just want to release singles, kind of like rappers do?
Right.
Why can't a band release just singles? Why do we have to do an album?
Yeah.
Like, why is it always an album? There's so much stigma associated with an album. So we're kind of toying with that at the moment. But yeah, still writing, man. Still writing. All of us are writing. I mean, there's guys right now that are. We're lucky to utilize technology throughout these lockdown and whatnot that to be able to write, because we can't actually drive. Because we all live separate parts of Melbourne. We're all. I mean, I'm an hour away from the guys. Wow. And they're all writing. We're all writing stuff, sending each other ideas, going back and forth. So the next album will be different yet again. Like I said, it'll be there's some electronic tracks, there's some rock tracks, some like soft tracks. There's everything.
Cool,
everything.
Man. Oh yeah, I look forward.
So hopefully, we wanted to release something this year, man, but this pandemic, I guess, really put a stop in the road for that.
Yeah.
We're hoping we have something soon.
Right, but being an independent band and doing all the stuff yourself, did you guys also have to have, for lack of a better word, day jobs to support yourself, or or you're just able to do music for a living?
Yeah, so we when we took the hiatus because we were just touring, I guess nonstop. We kind of, I mean, I guess I'll speak from my perspective. I was so married to the idea of I'm a musician, I'm a touring musician. That's what I do. That I didn't really, I closed the doors on the possibility of being anything else.
Right.
And I think we all kind of did that for a while, and then sort of having a bit of time between touring and a backpack and hotels and tour buses and vans and trailers and venues, and you kind of go, oh, well, I want to get into something else. Like, what else can I get into professionally that can be interesting? So we all kind of went different ways. So I personally got into a whole bunch of like property stuff, like real estate, and I have a whole bunch of friends that got into that, and we kind of started a business and a company together. And I used my business skills that I learned in a band. And I realized that, well, business is business, isn't it? So whether it's a musical product or it's property or it's a car or whatever, I mean, the skills are the same. It's transferable. So I got into real estate personally because I thought, what can I do that's not going to detract me from music? What can I do on my time that's me? Because now we're independent, so it's like I don't want to work for someone else. I want to work for me. So I got into property.
Cool.
Christopher got into streaming. He's on Twitch, so he streams under
cool.
on Twitch. Yeah, his alias is it's quite lewd, but I like it. It's called Wet for Jesus on Twitch, and he's got a following of people, and he plays games and narrates things and talks to people, and it's like off the chat room, and it's
cool.
Twitch is just this mind-blowing thing, man. But he connects with people still every day, and he's doing stuff and he's providing entertainment. So I guess he's still doing a lot more entertainment things, and the rest of the guys got into different ventures of business across that. So nothing really detracted us too far away from music, but
I think
it was refreshing not lumping yourself or just realizing that you can do anything, you know.
I think that's really important, you know, to hear, because like myself, like you just said, I was also just married to the idea of only doing music for a living, you know, and it's okay to get a normal job, side job, to, you know, relieve some of the, you know, tension of being broke all the time, for example, if that's the case, you know. So I think it's really good to hear that guys like you are also doing that, because I think that can provide some relief to bands and artists out there, you know.
Stigma associated with it, man. It's kind of like, especially as a musician. I mean, you kind of want to be known for what you do, because you are what you do, right? And it's like, well, I'm in a band, so I will never get a job, you know, at serving fries at McDonald's. Like, I'll never do that. Oh, I'll never do that. And it's like, well, hang on, man. Like, there's no shame in the game here. A job, no one should ever be shameful about earning an income and making a living. Like, if your band isn't at the level, or your music isn't at a level where it's generating enough income for you to sustain yourself, well, there's no shame in that. And in fact, I would recommend people getting into menial jobs or jobs that have social interactions, like sales or something, or because, I mean, as a musician, you absorb what's around you in your world. We observe, we take it all in, and then we project it out. That's what you do, you know, through your music. So if you're always living just this, if you're in this like bubble, this I call like touring and the whole music industry a bubble, because you enter the bubble and it's not real life. Like, that's like, life isn't like that. Like, you don't just walk out of a van or a tour bus and everyone's amazingly nice to you, and like, the world like the sun shines out of everything that you do, and like, people wait on hand and foot, and you've got to go for it. Like, oh, what else you guys need? Like, I can go get you something. Do you find? Like, the world doesn't work like that. The world is the world. So it's like, I think it's good to sort of remove yourself away from that ecosystem and just go, hey, this is the world, and absorb as much so that you can then put that into your art. I think that's why most bands, like, first album is usually the best one.
Right.
Usually. You know what I mean? Like, because you're working a shitty menial job between that. You were doing what you need to do whilst also working on your passion. Like, man, Mariah Carey used to sell hats. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, Bon Jovi and those guys used to work like construction jobs. Like, there's there's no shame in the game.
No, no,
So
no.
I would definitely implore people to do that for sure.
Awesome, man.
Have you always
Yeah.
been audio engineering and all the music stuff? Or like, do you have like a menial job?
I've had every now and then. I've had some random jobs, and now when the pandemic hit, I used to do a lot of live music too and stuff like engineering. But all that obviously shut down, and a lot of bands I was working with remotely also were affected by the thing, so they couldn't record, etc. So I'm actually getting into learning to code like in Python and getting into AI and machine learning.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and I only see that
Dude, it's
benefit. Mhm.
there's definitely benefit in that for sure. I think there's a big push in that. Man, it's funny you say that because a lot of friends of mine are like learning coding online, and it's all online courses now, and like online learning, and why not? It's a skill. Excuse me. It's a skill. Why not?
Exactly, man.
I think it's great.
I think it can only benefit. I mean, in this case, myself, because music engineering and music technology, I mean, it's all hand in hand. To be honest. Yes, I'd just like to go back to your guitar playing and ask you what inspires your riff writing, because that's something that's just awesome. I mean, your riffs are badass. Like, how do you guys come up with these riffs?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't even know how to answer. Like, I guess it's just by exploring stuff and just having an idea and just. I think initially, like, I go out. I didn't meet up with friends. I just like played and played and played and learned as much as I can. And like in a short time, I've got relatively proficient. So, and then I met Michael or Barrett,
Right.
who was insanely good, but on like the other side of that, we play more bluesy riffs and kind of like melding of styles. And initially, I think it was a bit of kind of friendly rivalry. It's kind of like, bitch, you can't play this, bitch, you can't play that, bitch, you can't, like, check out. Okay. And even to this day, man, there's things that I can do that he can't do, and there's things that he can do that I just can't do. I just straight up can't do. And it's there. I think after a while, we realize that, and we know what each other's strengths are, we know what each other's weaknesses are, and we kind of cover each other's bases. So, but in terms of riff writing, like, I'd love to be able to take credit for that, but honestly, like, I would say Barrett's the predominant like riff writer. Like he really comes to the table with just like riffs, man. I'm like, far out, dude. That's good. How about we do this? And like, how about we change it a bit? And we're like, yeah, let's do this. And all of a sudden, you've got this monstrous riff. So, oh yeah, we wrote a song in 5 minutes, like Motley Crue or something like that. But it's not the case. Like there's a lot of just vomit. You know what I mean? Like we expel ideas, and then you sort of go, that's no good. That's cool. Boom, let's take that. Let's refine this. Okay, let's cool. This fits with this. This fits with that. And like Barrett and I always talk about a riff bank. Like we have kind of like a bank of riffs in it where we can just go, cool, I want to pull a riff out. How about this riff? So after a while you kind of I guess you have a style, I think, and he has a style, I have a style, so that together I guess really contributes to just the sound. Yeah.
Definitely, man. But it's also, I mean, like Christopher's vocals on top. That's also that's hard to do, to make it sound, cohesive, I guess, or make it sound not, choppy, I guess. And the other band,
yeah, man.
I mean, the other band that reminds me of that is the Mars Volta. I'm sure you know the Mars Volta, who also are able to do it.
I do.
Well, like it's you guys. I mean, I guess there are bands, but you guys and Mars Volta is like, cool, various time signatures, blah, etc., etc. But still a vocal who can sit on top and make the whole thing.
Yeah, it's funny, man. We used to get that. We used to get that pattern a lot, and I welcome it. I think Mars Volta are badass, dude. I think they're so good. Like they're great. And I can see how people can put them together. I mean, like I love octave harmonies. Like I love just having a high octave alongside the main vocal to really just give it that meat, and alongside weird guitar lines and different syncopations and syncopated rhythms and polyrhythms, it can sound very Mars Volta-esque. So it's yeah, I can definitely see that for sure. And man, I remember when I first met Chris. Like I met him at a now defunct venue in Melbourne called the Art House.
Right.
And I met him, and he was on stage, and he was singing. And I initially thought, I remember, like, he comes off stage at the back, and this is when I first met him, when he used to wear like big bling watches, and he was just outlandish, a personality larger than life. And I said to him, I said, man, is that falsetto? He's like, nah, man. I said, really? He goes, nah, that's true voice. I'm like, bullshit. He goes, it's not. I said, I don't believe you. And he said, I can show you. I said, show me. And he went, where? And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess it's not. And I was like, man, this guy's got some pipes. Like, okay. So I think you need to have that. He's got exceptional range. Chris has got an insane range. Just you need to have that for the scope of, like, I guess, no holds barred guitar riffing that we have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, if we were just straight kind of like bluesy riffs in just this one kind of sphere, he would probably shine even more, to be honest. Like, he's got an exceptional range. So,
right.
But I definitely welcome that Mars Volta comparison. Like, I remember listening to the Deloused and the Comatorium for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I just left high school, and I was in high school. Maybe it was high school. Yeah, they just released it, and I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, nothing sounded like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. So exactly. I think that definitely would have influenced somewhat, I guess. Like, I don't think we actually ever went out being like, we want to sound like Mars Volta, but I think with the octave harmonies and the wacky guitar lines that kind of split out there.
Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, it's cool, man. I welcome it. It's nice to.
Sure.
But Manny, it's been a pleasure. I think we did well despite the lags and the Australian internet. But so maybe you told us about some up and coming songs, but is there anything else we can look forward this year from Closure and Moscow, or maybe a little next year? At this point.
Well, yeah, man. I think it's probably safe to say this year's a bit of a write-off. I mean, I'm kind of even if we did release something this year, I don't know if music venues will be ready to go to tour it. So it's kind of like to not go out as an independent artist. Oh, probably 2021 at this stage. If something changes, we'll obviously update it all on our socials. But we've been a little bit like media silent, I guess. A little bit. We've gone dark a little bit on the socials, just because without being in the studio, and like, we like to show stuff and show the process of recording. We really like doing that. So probably 2021. Whether it's an album or whether it's singles, we'll see. Either way, we're having a bucket load of fun, man. It's definitely a new epoch in the Closure in Moscow machine.
Awesome.
And I'm just grateful that I get to travel the world, meeting like-minded individuals with my best friends. It's kind of like, what did I do to deserve that?
Yeah, it's awesome.
In the future, man, 2021. So hopefully when we open back up and we play London again, we can have a beer together.
Yeah, exactly, man.
But for sure.
Did you guys do a documentary? I read something about that, but you haven't released it. Or is it out? They'll just not see it.
Releasing like early footage and sort of telling a story from conception to now, because we've got a whole bunch of clips and little things from all over the world. So there's nothing in concrete yet, but probably in the near future, hopefully. Yeah.
Awesome. I think I just read somewhere, maybe it's Wikipedia, that you guys made actually a documentary, but it's not released, like from the early days.
When we first got to America, we had a friend of ours who was documenting everything.
Yeah.
And that was that footage hasn't been released, so that may be in the works. But again, once again, this is Wikipedia, and I can jump on anybody's Wikipedia and just be like, they used to sell elephants, and they ran a meth lab, like I don't know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's there's nothing as of yet.
Right.
But we're always open to ideas, man. I think I believe content is king. So I think anything you can put out that really just shows who you are and what you do is just great to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think I wish more artists and more bands did that. It's kind of, I mean, it's cool to be all elusive and like, ooh, these people, but it's like at the end of the day, we're all human. And as I digest music as well, like, I'm a fan of music as well. I have favorite bands, and I've got artists that I follow, and I like to know how their mind works. How do they operate behind the scenes? How does this amazing director work behind the scenes? Are they really like that in real life as what they are in the public's eye? Like, it's I think I would love if more people did that.
Yeah, exactly, man. But Manny, thanks again for coming on. It's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure, my man. Pleasure, my man. For sure.
Awesome, man.
It was like I said. Hopefully soon we can meet up in person.
Exactly, man. I'd love to. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Manny, for coming on. It was a big pleasure having you here, and hope you, the listener, enjoyed it as well. And hopefully the lag wasn't too disruptive. Again, if you want to be a part of the conversation, if you want to be able to ask questions to up-and-coming guests and all that sort of fun stuff, join the Audio Tribe. There's a link to that in the description below. To send your name and email address, and you have joined. It's free, of course. Also, if you haven't checked out Closure Moscow, do that as well. It's an awesome band, and I can't wait to hear more music coming out from them in the future. Also, don't forget to subscribe to YouTube channel, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. Leave a comment and let me know what you think. But it was a pleasure having you here this week again. I will see you guys next week, so take care.